in position because it seems the light ray is affecting my screen. Can we hear me very clearly?
We can hear you very clearly.
Okay. So I'll be talking with you about the university system and excellence. I initially had the first challenge of deciding what really are we going to talk about? How do we address the issue of the university system, and that will be relevant to my hearers today. That was my first thought, and because I know I'll be talking basically to those who are making their first leap into the university system, I had to look at what are the things that make up for the university system, what is excellence, and how does this apply to you as an individual, and how can you, within that system, become an excellent performer. So I did a short outline. We're talking about the university, what a system is, the university system itself. We would define the word excellence, and we also consider how universities measure excellence and how can I become excellent in my pursuit of a university degree. And last of all, I'll look at the challenges to excellence. Sorry, my presentation may sound a bit academic, spice it up, but I had some system freeze earlier this morning. I had to redo the entire presentation just about an hour ago. My system went into some challenge, so bear with me. The university. The Oxford Dictionary defines a university as a high-level tertiary institution in which students study for degrees and where academic research is conducted. Much of what we know oftentimes before we enter the university is just about the degree award aspect. We believe that it's just a place to go study and earn a degree. But beyond offering degrees, universities engage primarily, I should say, in academic research. Our pursuit in the system as academics is basically to bring forth research that will help solve problems that are out there in society. So learn that as you go into the university, it's not just about getting a degree, it's about becoming a problem solver. So the university exists at the highest level of learning, which we often call the tertiary level. I'm sure everyone here had to go through different stages of education. The primary level, where you are taught basically the first stages of learning, which includes reading, solving arithmetic problems, and learning about how our world operates, which is basic science. At that level also, you may be taught some social ethics, civics, and things like that. At the secondary level, you begin to go into operational models, how to apply some of the little knowledge you've gained from the primary education, how the principles of science apply to your day-to-day activities. And also you take civics to the level of citizenship. You want to learn about responsible citizenship in your country. By the time you get to the tertiary level, there seems to be a more flexible and a sort of independent learning approach, which I hope we will be able to touch in the course of our discussion. The university is a place of learning at a very high level. In the primary school, you have a dedicated teacher for your class. At the secondary school level, you have a dedicated teacher for your class, aside from dedicated teacher for subjects, maths, English, chemistry, and such like. And at that level also, you have individual teachers paying very close attention to the individual students. The particular interest at that level is to teach and ensure the student has learned. But at this level of education, there's a huge difference. Learning at this level is at a pace where the job of your lecturers, professors, and their likes is basically to show you where knowledge is, to take you, like somebody put it, to the fountain of knowledge. The process of learning and grasping the concept is the duty of the students. So you may find situations where you get to campus and some of your older peers or colleagues are telling you that, there's this lecturer, he just comes to class and just gives you topics and discourses without really going into details. He's not doing something out of place, because at the university level, you're expected to visit libraries, you're supposed to use textbooks. For your generation, you are lucky to have the internet, use the facility of the internet to enhance your learning. It's a place of skills and cognitive development. There is this notion out there that universities do not really teach skills, but that is an aberration. We may have a situation where in most universities in our nation here, facilities are not fully available to put in the skill development aspect into much of our teaching. But to a large extent, if you are fortunate to meet lecturers who are passionate about what they teach, you discover that the skill development aspect will still come in. And when I talk about skills, I'm not talking about skills with respect to casual jobs. Talking about scientific skills, cognitive skills are also very important at this level. So the university system will develop your thinking and your capacity to be rational in the way you measure your environment. So where did the word university come from? It's from the Latin phrase, universitas magistratum e scholarium, which means a community of teachers and scholars. And you can appreciate that that's what you will find when you get to the university. You find scholars, you find teachers, people whose daily activity is about thinking and solving problems. And then we go to look at what a system is. What's a system? A system, as defined by the dictionary, is a group of interacting or interrelated elements which act based on set rules to form a unified whole. So when talking about a system, there must be a goal. There is an end point that is being targeted. But to achieve that end point, there are minute other activities that must be carried out. And different parts of that entire organism or organ is built up in such a way that its little contribution sums up to make for a functional system, if to put it that way. So small parts of a whole of a more complex structure that work in synergy to achieve a broad set of goals. If you take the human circulatory system, for instance, it comprises the heart, several blood vessels, the lymphatic tissue, the capillaries, and all others that function together to ensure transport of oxygen and nutrients to feed the cells of your body. It's a system, and every part of that system must function effectively for it to achieve its goal. So the university system is made up of various organs and structures managed by administrators, and it's also built on rules that ensure its effective and efficient operation. The Nigerian system is built slightly similar to that of the American system. There are quite some differences, but we still have some similarities here and there. And our system, just like in other places, offers bachelor degrees, master's degrees, and doctorate degrees, as well as postgraduate diplomas. These postgraduate diplomas are often offered to persons who have a degree in one field and want to go into another field for which they have not been earlier trained. You may be asked to do a PGD, like we abbreviate it, in order to be able to measure up to qualify for a master's in that new field. It's also made available to students who didn't come quite well with a strong degree. They are able to use that to push themselves up in their field and then qualify to do a master's degree. To qualify for a BSc, I'm sure you're already familiar with that. In Nigeria, you write the SSC, then you write the UTME and go on to seek admission to your choice university. There are other channels by which you can access that. For a master's degree, you are expected to have graduated with a bachelor's degree. Your bachelor's degree must be with honors at the second class, minimum of lower class. Some universities do not even accept second class lower for masters. Some accept second class lower with specific rules, such like the CGPA, which I'll define later, must be up to 3.0%, 3.0 for the candidate to qualify for a master's. But for majority of the universities in Nigeria, a first degree with a second class lower, you will be allowed to write a master's program. Award of these degrees is based on the student fulfilling a set of rules. In the secondary school, you will recall that promotion was based on your third term exam, though they will find average of what you had in the first term, the second term, and the third term. And then if you qualify, you are asked to move to the next class. However, we are aware that there are some cases where if a student doesn't measure up, in order not to have too much failures, we have that happen in public secondary schools often, where the government will say, well, let everybody move to the next class. This can't happen in the university system. Secondly is that in the secondary school, you write a terminal exam, which you call the SSC, whether conducted by WAEC, either conducted by WAEC or NECO. In the university system, there is no cumulation to the point where you write one final terminal exams. All your exams from your first year and the first semester counts for what you will graduate with at the end of your program. So the rules that govern that, it's very important you pay attention to them as soon as you resume in the university. Most of these rules are similar from university to university, but there are basic rules that are generally the same because they are set by the Nigerian Universities Commission, which is the main body that regulates university education in Nigeria. If your university does not abide by such rules, the NUC will definitely withdraw accreditation for such university. So literally all universities in Nigeria are governed by specific rules which cumulate to your being awarded a degree. These rules govern the process and progress towards the award. The process in the sense that every stage of the program is measured from your first semester, your lectures, your continuous assessment tests, your practical classes, up to your exams are measured, and your progress in the sense that what scores you're having, what grades you are turning up will determine your progress. There are students who resume in the university, and by the time they are in their, even some at the end of the first year are already told to leave. Some midway through, some towards the end of the program. Some even spend the full term of 4, 5, or 6 years, depending on the duration of the program. And at the end of the day, they are not awarded a degree. Why? Because the progress has not measured up enough to reward such a candidate. I pray for you that none of you will suffer such a loss in the name of Jesus. These rules are the basis for excellent achievement in the system. Complying with this rule, knowing this rule, keeping to the basic instructions that some of these rules provide will help you succeed. Excellence is defined as the quality of being outstanding, extremely good, or exceptional. Excellence is the drumbeat of every university. There's no university that celebrates mediocrity. One of the outstanding thing about universities is the fact that universities are considered to be ivory towers, in the sense that their standards are rated very high. A good university does not lower its standard for any reason. Universities are always known for that. And that's why you discover that most academics may seem stubborn and edgy when it comes to bending over certain rules. It's because we are trained to uphold a very high standard. And that itself is the reason why you must take the issue of excellence very seriously when you are going into the university. Attainment of excellence should be your utmost desire as you begin the journey into tertiary education. Look at young people. You will be met at the university with a lot of things that demand your attention. And some of these things, aside from your academics, some of them are good in themselves, but maybe a distraction if you have not mastered certain aspects of your habits and academic strengths. So it's good that you decide right from before you leave home or right at the onset of your study that your primary goal will be to attain excellence. When you set this before you, it is easier for you to accept those points, those habits that will tend to move you closer to excellence. To achieve excellence, you must realize that competition is crucial. I'm talking of healthy competition. And in this case, I'm talking of even competition with yourself. Compete with the best of yourself. Compete with the standards that have been set in your university. You get to your department and you learn that the best result they've had in this department is from a student who made 4.99 in his last CGPA. And you want to tell them that, come, I'm going to make 5.00. Compete with yourself and work towards that. If you do not set excellence as your primary pursuit, it may be difficult for you to push when you feel it's becoming too tough for you. As God's heritage, you are to be fortified with excellence. Remember that Daniel said clearly, he said, those who know their God shall be strong. He said, and they will do excellently. You must be excellent. You can't be less than excellent in your pursuits. So how do we measure excellence in the university? I'm trying to build a foundation for you as you go. In recent years, very recent years, we have observed very closely that a lot of students enter the university quite well. They want to make good grades. They want to be excellent students, to put it that way. But they've lost touch with what university measures as excellence. Excellence for us in the university is not just about you having A's, but the process that leads to those A's must be in tandem with the principles of excellence that we look out for. And that's why you discover that in the university system, when you are graduating, your certificate is going to read something like, you have been found worthy in character and learning. So for us, we measure excellence from the angle of character and learning. We are not just interested in you becoming a first degree with a first class who lacks moral latitude, who will go out there and embarrass the institution's name. I can't recall clearly, but I know there was a case sometime earlier this year where a student's certificate was going to be recalled by a university when she went on social media ranting that she got her certificate by giving her body or some other things she said she did to get the certificate, and the university recalled the certificate. That is to tell you that it's not just about we giving you a certificate. The process we are interested in, and your attitude, your character is as important to us as your performance in your studies. So in character, we would measure you with respect to your peers. We've had situations where students cheat on their colleagues in the hostels, steal from them, and such things. There are disciplinary measures for this. When a student steals from other students, that student may face as little as rustication for a semester. That means you go home for a semester and come back. You have that an automatic extra semester more than the normal duration, or the candidate may get an expulsion, depending on the university and the mark the crime, because some universities, the rules will say rustication for first offenders. Some university will say expulsion, no case of first offender or second offender. Your attitude towards your superiors, and your superiors here do not just mean your lecturers. There are other people you will meet in the system. There are secretaries, there are gardeners, there are non-academic staff of all kinds, all levels that you will meet. It will be expected that as a university student, your attitude towards these persons portrays someone who is civil. You must let your relationship with people in the system be civil. The third one is property. How do you handle university property? I've had a student that I refused to sign his clearance from the university after his degree because he damaged some laboratory materials and equipment and was unwilling to replace them. The regulation says he should replace them. And it was not until when he replaced them before he was cleared. I wasn't even HOD, I was just his project supervisor. And I said, no, I can't sign. Go and replace them. And that's what the rule says. There are things that may crop up in your use of the properties that is important. You take a record, you sign out anything you need to use, sign it and be sure that you check that it's in good condition before you sign it out. And when you are done using it, make sure you sign it in. All these are things that build up to character. Your character must be exceptional. I'm excited that I'm even talking to Christian students. Your character must show that of Christ, like Daniel and his 3 friends. Must forge a godly heritage there on campus. Don't let it once be mentioned that you are among those who are caught in the problems of examination malpractice and all such things. Please note very well. Excellence in character is very crucial towards earning your degree. Don't join the multitude to do evil. The next part is excellence. Excellence in learning builds up right from your first day in class. Attendance in the lectures, participation in class activities, performance in your CAT, performance in the practical class, performance in examinations. Lecture attendance. Let me share 2 experiences with you. I teach final year students in their first semester and second semester. In the first semester course, I teach it with a younger colleague. The second semester course, I teach with a senior colleague. But for both courses, I take more of the content than both colleagues. Now, during that period, I have opportunity to interact with all our students. My class is always engaging, and it's always demanding. I'm one of those lecturers who take seriously attendance. I will not only ask students to write attendance. At the end of the class, I will call out the names to ensure that those names written are names of students who were in class. Now, at the end of your training, it might look at see if that effort was just futile. But those interactions have always come handy when students, after their degree, need someone to refer them to an organization for work or for further studies. Now, I have had 2 cases, recent cases. One of a student who graduated 3 sessions ago, the second of a student who graduated a session ago. The one that graduated 3 sessions ago needed a reference from me to a university in the US for a master's. I had to turn it down because all my experiences of her in class was that of a student who was very serious, a student who did not pay attention, a student who did not participate in class activities, a student that I could not vouch for her in the specific areas that university wanted me to comment on. Lastly, they wanted me to also comment on the overall performance. Our overall performance was less than expected. She was supervised by a very close friend, and I saw her attitude towards her supervision, her project and other things. So I couldn't write a reference for her. The other person finished about a session ago. He started the youth service recently, and is presently doing a part-time job with a research institute in Lagos. He's serving in another organization. They employed him as a research assistant based on my reference. This was a young man that every class, he comes with a question that will elicit discussion and conversation in class, and would always make the class a very interesting one to be part of. So when they asked for my reference, I had enough, or more than enough, to write concerning him. That, to a large extent, tells how much your participation in class goes to affecting not just your degree, but your studies even beyond your degree. So participation in class activities is very important. Now, your CAT can come in form of periodic tests, emergency tests, term papers, assignments, and all the likes. Please, from your very first class, take seriously every assignment, term paper your lecturer asks you to write. And please avoid the temptation of using AI to do your assignments. Lecturers are not morons. Lecturers are not dummy. We are also operating in this same AI age. And so when you turn in for me a manuscript and say you did it, it won't take me 3 or 4 lines of reading to know that this is not your writing. Because oftentimes, if it's in my field, I've most likely read that material before. Number 2, there is a capacity and level of reasoning that is expected for each level of students, except where you have exceptional students, very few in such cases. So when you write something, it's easy for me to appraise to know whether this is at your level or not. So please avoid such things. You will be caught, and it doesn't always turn out right when you are caught for such things. The other one is performance in practical. I'll just say this about practical. In most universities, including mine, where a student at the end of his degree has failed a particular course or two, and the university senate, out of its magnanimity, decides that it wants to grant waiver. A waiver is where you say, even though this student didn't pass this course, but because he's caught up to this, graduate him. Now, where such occurs, there is always a clause, and that clause is always that except where the course is a practical-based course. There are some courses that don't have essay exams, that they are purely practical. You don't want to with them because every practical class counts towards your final score in that course. Even for courses that have both essay, theory and practical, each practical class counts towards your score. And the last of it is the examination itself. Every exam has its rules. Cheating during exam is frowned at, and it's part of one of the steps that universities try to fight against because of the need to uphold excellence. Universities these days are fixing CCTV cameras in examination halls to monitor students, all because we want to uphold excellence. Please don't go to exam hall with the intention to commit fraud. Don't impersonate anybody. Don't assist anybody to write exam. Don't ask anyone to help you. Now, innocently, I had a case recently of some students who innocently, well, should I use the word innocently? Because they should have known better. There was someone who was organizing tutorial classes for them and said that towards the exam, he told them that there is a way they can help them, that they wouldn't need to appear at the exam hall, and their class courses they will pass. And they paid him a certain amount of money. Unfortunately for him, he didn't realize that we keep improving our supervision model every year. We keep altering it to be able to achieve better results. So it's an e-exam, and he logged in, wrote for the first person, submitted, logged in and started for a second person, and he was caught. By the time they searched, they found out that he had 6 matriculation numbers that he was going to write for. All those students, including himself, were expelled. Look here, universities are very, very serious when it comes to dealing with malpractice. Don't be involved. Computation of performance. I don't have the luxury of time. I would have loved to take my time to explain how each of these is arrived at, but I'll explain in simple words. From the first exam you will write till you graduate, every course you write you will have a score over 100. That score is captured within a range of alphabets, which are A, B, C, D, E, F. A being the best and F being a failure. And each one has points. These points are what we call grade points. A has a point of 5, B has a point of 4, C has a point of 3, D has a point of 2, E has a point of 1. Some universities have other models with respect to this. Now, at the end of the exams, they compute your grade points and divide it by what we call a credit unit. That means each course you have offered, the number of units that that course carries, whether it's a 1-unit course, 2-unit course, or 3-unit course. This depends on the volume of work you are going to do in that particular course. Using that, they arrive at what we call your grade point average. That's for a semester. At the end of your first session, grade point. Hello? Is someone trying to reach me?
Okay. Yes, sir. We have like 2 more minutes, sir.
2 more minutes. Okay, I'll try and rush up. So there is also what we call the cumulative grade point average and the class of degree. All these are things that as a student, you must work towards scoring marks that take you to the upper boundary of the grade point, which is 5. Your scores must be above 70, and you don't achieve that by just attending exams. You must have been part of those who submitted assignments, who attended practical classes, who turned in term papers, because all these count to determine your final score. Please take note of this very well. Now, universities and excellence. Universities reward excellence and will always go against anything less than it. Excellence, because that is what we intend to turn out to society. That is what we want to present to society. And for you as a student, you build excellence from the first day. I've mentioned some of the things you must do. Be in class, attend practicals and the likes. You must build from the first day if you must attain the heights that is expected of you. Number 2 is that you must sustain it through regular attendance of classes, practicals, and all such necessary contact with your lecturers and tutorial teachers. You must strengthen it by participation. Participation is one of the most important things for you as an undergraduate. If you do not participate well, your knowledge well will be very shallow. Be ready to participate. If you are the shy type, this is the time to throw away shyness and participate fully. Number 4 there is that it requires consistency. You can't be consistent for one semester and say, oh, I made 4.8 this semester. Let me relax a little. That 4.8 can turn to 2.1 if you relax. So you must be consistent. You must be disciplined. Excellence breathes on discipline. Without discipline, excellence cannot be sustained. Without discipline, excellence becomes a mirage. And excellence detests cutting corners. Do not join the league of those who cut corners. Universities are set up. As you know, I said it's a bit I can't go into details about the system. There is a system that guides the different processes that goes on in the university. If you cut corners, it may not go down well. Beware of malpractice as well. There is a body in the university system we call the Student Disciplinary Committee. I pray for you that you will never have a need to be in that committee or to attend any of its meetings, because it's not a delightful place to go as a student. I was a member of the disciplinary committee for my university for some years before I stepped out to take some other assignments. At times you feel like crying for some of these students, particularly where you have cases of students who are freshers. Please avoid any company or anything that could make you become a visitor to the SDC. Now, there are challenges that you may find that can affect excellence. Number one challenge is truancy. Don't be a truant. Please, don't be a truant. You are not in the secondary school. You can be a truant for some time, and then when it's almost WAEC time, you gather energy and stamina, and then you go and do WAEC and come out with a CCC worldwide. But it doesn't happen that way in the university. Once you are a truant in the university system, you have laid a foundation that it will be impossible to be excellent. So please don't be a truant. Don't join the wrong company. There'll be a lot of companies that want your attention because you are intelligent, because you are bright, because you carry light, because you carry Christ. There will be so many interests that want you to be a part of them. Judge. The scripture says that you will judge angels. So why would it be impossible for you to judge men, to decide which one to keep company with? Then don't start late and don't start poor. Don't be disobedient to authority and don't engage in examination malpractice, because these are things that can make excellence to be far from a student. I hope I have not bored you. Thanks for listening.